and welcome back to the podcast. For those of you who are new around here, my name is Ruth, and I started this podcast to amplify the voices of women in leadership, to talk about what we do beyond the school gate, the good, the bad, and the funny. Apologies if my voice is a little bit weird, a little bit different. I've just come off the back of about a week of being sick. So just kind of in the final stages where your kind of nose feels like it's on fire, your eyes are red. So yeah, apologies if I sound a little bit off or if I look a little bit off. I think it's just that time of year, it's winter in Canberra, and there's loads just going around. However, being sick over the last week has kind of given me the idea of recording this podcast and the topic for this podcast episode. And I just want to talk about taking care of yourself. I think before I had such a level of guilt when it came to feeling sick and taking time off, feeling sick and looking after myself, or feeling unwell, but then prioritizing things that were going to help me get better. And I'm a whole grown up. I'm in my 40s. And it's only now that it dawned on me why I felt like that, and I had that level of guilt. And I think I just want to prefix it with saying, obviously, you have to be conscientious, and I'm not saying that you kind of take a sick day here, there, and everywhere. But I've always had a high level of guilt when I have taken a time off work because I felt unwell. And even this week, like the week just gone, I had 2 days off, and the level of guilt that I felt for that was like disproportionate. Like I'm unwell, my head's on fire, body chilled, like full head cold or whatever it was. And there shouldn't be a level of guilt around that. And I just think it's so interesting that a lot of people feel that. Some people don't. Some people just be taking sick leave left and right. But I've always felt that I'm letting somebody down, whether there was a project going on or not a project going on, a big project, a small project, no projects, not even a busy week. Even if I was genuinely sick and I took time off, I've always felt guilty. I remember when I worked at St. John Ambulance, I was there for 12 years, and I broke my ankle. Why am I hobbling to work? And also, why am I paying my money to get a taxi to work every single day when, one, I could have worked from home, or two, I could have actually taken time off because my ankle was broken? But it was that level of guilt, not that the organization made you feel that way. It wasn't anything that the organization had done. It was just more so how I felt about taking that time off. And I thought, now this week being sick, I thought to myself, well, what is it? Where does that come from? Because when I talk to other people, there's, like Ahmed always says, he's like, no, if you're not well, take time off. You need to get better. That's why you have sick leave. One, I've always thought, I just don't have time for this. I actually don't have time for this. I've got things to do, people to see, places to be. But I think it's dawned on me now. I think being a young carer and looking after my mum, you couldn't be sick. What are you being sick for? This person is disabled and is sicker than you in regards to, like, she needs your help. There's no time to be sick. We got appointments to go to, we got personal hygiene and personal care to be doing, we got to clean the house, we got to go to school, we got things to do. No time for sickness, nothing. Nope. Which now, looking back, how toxic is that as a child, thinking that? And then I think being a teenage parent, that thought process then went into, I haven't got time to be sick. I've got a child to keep alive. I've got a child that I need to feed, keep alive, get to nursery. I've got to go to uni. I've got to go to work. I've got things to do. So I would, again, just power through and would feel really guilty if I did have to pause and take a step back. And I think now, kind of in that kind of perimenopausal stage, I think sickness is hitting me different than what it was before. And I also think that level of, I don't want to say healing, but it is kind of feels like a level of healing around, actually, if you are sick, take the time off, and that's okay. If you need that time off, take it off, rest, recuperate, and then come back fighting fit. I'm also not a massive fan of the toxic hustle culture that kind of goes around and kind of does the rounds. I'm not a fan of fan of that. I am a fan of looking after yourself and well-being, and I preach it. For those of you who know me in person, I preach it. I preach look after yourself. You're the most important thing. And but then when it comes to me, I often haven't done that. And if somebody who reports into me is sick, I'm like, oh my God, yep, take the day off. Is there anything that you need me to pick up? Are there any meetings that you want me to attend on your behalf? Can I cancel things? What can I do so you don't have to think about work and just look after yourself and get better? And I genuinely mean that. And I can do that with my team. But when it comes to myself, I just really struggle to allow myself that time in that space to take time off, really. So I think it's one of those things where I constantly remind myself, and like a lot of you guys that listen, is that we work so hard to get to where we've got to in life. We've worked so hard to reach the goals that we've reached, or the journeys that we're on. It hasn't been easy for any of us, I would imagine, to have got where we've reached, right? And I know it sounds a little bit morbid, and I say it to one of my friends all the time. Don't, like, you've worked so hard to get to where you have. Don't reach the top of the mountain and then you die, and you don't get to enjoy the sunrise, and you don't get to enjoy the sunset, and you don't get to enjoy all the fruits of your labor. And I suppose as I'm kind of entering this kind of, I suppose this next chapter of my life, next era, as the young people call it, that's probably just sticking with me a little bit more, is that if you don't take care of yourself, all the things that give you joy, all the people around you that love you, they want you to be healthy and to be fit and to be around for a long time. So if you're not taking care of yourself now, there's going to be implications for that in the future, right? So don't do them or yourself a disservice. And it's okay to take time for yourself. I think that's probably the message of this episode. Take all the time for yourself that you need to rest, recover, and come back stronger than ever. And on that note, I'm going to take my cup of tea, my Vaseline, and my eucalyptus ointment. Take my backside back to bed. See you in the next one.